Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Simple Fund 360 Education Week. In this topic, we're going to have a look at unlocking digital signing using Simple Fund 360. As you're well aware, I'm sure by now, we're coming to the pointy end of Simple Fund 360 Education Week. So if you have missed any of those sessions, please head to our community. You'll be able to catch them on a recording. And we do have a couple of sessions running tomorrow as well that you can sign up to. A couple of housekeeping rules before we get the session underway. If you do have any questions through today's presentation, please use the Q&A chat. I do have a number of colleagues listening in, and lucky enough that I have a couple of colleagues, should I say a couple of partners from FuseSign also signing in. So if you do have any questions regarding FuseSign, please direct them in the Q&A chat and I'll be happy to address any of your queries. As I mentioned before, this session is going to be recorded and will be available on the BGL community. For those that are not aware of the BGL community, it is a platform for you to connect with other like-minded professionals, such as yourself, and talk about and discuss all things related to self-managed super funds. The address is on screen there, so you can head over and it's free to join. So definitely recommend that you take advantage of that resource. Now, we're going to jump into digital signing, and we know that a majority of users that come to these webinars haven't yet sort of made the decision or the leap of faith to sign up to a digital signing platform at this stage. So we're going to talk about some of the advantages before we move forward. And an interesting fact that I actually came across whilst I was doing a bit of research was we know that at least 48% of Australians have actually signed something electronically in the past 2 years. So given our current climate, I guess, and the conditions, we know that this rate's going to continue to climb. So it's not a new concept. It's proven, it's trusted, and we know that it actually works. We know that it's efficient with a faster turnaround time, and this is obviously going to lead to a better cost saving for you and your client. What we're going to actually focus in on today is actually what documents can actually be signed in Simple Fund 360. Now, I have put a link in the chat, so hopefully you can find it. If not, just reach out on the Q&A and my colleagues listening in will be able to point you to the resources. But these are all the documents that can be signed in Simple Fund 360. So you can see there that there's a lot of documents that you can get digitally signed. And we also are making improvements to the process where you'll be able to sign third-party documents. You can do that now, but we're not covering it in this session because we are making enhancements to that particular feature set. So you'll see that at a later stage. Now, the digital signing in Simple Fund 360 is free. So we integrate with our partners. You will need an account with one of our partners, okay? So it's either FuseSign, DocuSign, PleaseSign, or Adobe Sign. And as I mentioned today, we're fortunate enough to have a member of FuseSign sitting in. So if you do have any questions surrounding your account, please head over to the Q&A and they'll be more than happy to assist. Now, in the resources as well, I've included a link, and this is to take advantage of any BGL clients that are listening in will be able to take advantage of this offer with FuseSign. So there is a special running at this stage. You'll be able to sign up to a 14-day free trial, and that will include the integration with BGL. So we'll have a link in the chat so you can take advantage of this and simply plug in your details for the online form, and FuseSign will reach out and get in touch. Now, there are advantages of jumping on the FuseSign bandwagon, and you can see there the fees, there's no hidden costs, it's all transparent. The main thing, though, that really caught my eye with FuseSign is that it's made by accountants for accountants. And not only that, it's Australian made, owned and the data is stored in Australia. So definitely worth booking in a chat if you're thinking about taking that leap into digital signing. Now, what I want to do is I want to jump into the product now, and I'm going to demonstrate a few things. I'm going to take you through the setup. So how do we actually turn on the integration? And then how do we actually digitally sign a document? And then finally, I'll show you what the client will receive to digitally sign the document. Now, what I want to point out as well is that using FuseSign, it is mobile friendly as well. So they're going to be able to sign on their mobile phone. So this is great for the trustee who's on the run and are hard to get a hold of. They're going to be able to sign from anywhere, any place, at any time. So with that being said, let's shift over to Simple Fund 360. Now I've got my fund selected, I've logged in, and the first thing that I want to take you through is the integration process. So as I mentioned before, you will need an account with one of our partners. And the demonstration today is going to be with the integration with FuseSign. So I'm going to navigate across to the app switcher at the top of the screen here. And I'm going to navigate to integrations. Now from this screen here, you'll see that there's 3 tabs. And today we're just focusing on digital signing. So that's what I'm going to click on. And you'll see that our partners will pop up. Now, what I want to do is I want to ensure that I have enabled the integration with FuseSign. So you can see that it is active at this stage and it is my default. So you can have more than one provider turned on if you wish to do so. I guess the next question you'll have is, well, how do I actually turn this feature set on? You simply just have to click on the settings icon at the top here. And you'll notice that I've got a disconnect button. So I can just quickly disconnect it if I want to. And you'll see what happens. It goes back to square one of connecting to FuseSign. So it is that simple to actually switch on this integration. It is seamless. So I'm going to click on connect to FuseSign. And you'll see there that there are some prerequisites of just having an account and connecting it. I'm going to accept. And it'll bring me to a place where I have to authorize BGL to connect with your FuseSign account. So I'm going to authorize BGL. Now there is one step before that. It will ask you for your username and password. It's just that I've already entered that into the system, so it's remembered it from last time. But it is that straightforward to connect those 2 platforms together. So now that I'm integrated, I can go back into the digital signing area and you can see there that it's active. As I mentioned, if you use more than one provider, you can switch it on and obviously set a default to be used. All right, let's head back into Simple Fund. Now that's a once-off setup. Okay, so it's a set and forget. Once it's connected, you don't have to go back in there. Now, what do I have to do to actually get a document digitally signed in Simple Fund 360? Well, the first thing is that you need to make sure that your fund relationship screen is up to date. So I've got the fund selected, and if I go to the main menu and go to fund and then fund relationships, it'll show the key relationships for the super fund. Now, if you're new to this screen, you've got your contact list running down the left-hand side and your relationships on the right-hand side. And what you need to do is do a search for the particular contact that you want to add. And the system will do a quick search. Now, all you need to do is, if the contact exists, is simply just drag and drop that person into the relationship and it'll save. Now, the Simple Fund 360 reports engine will look at this data and it'll populate accordingly. Okay, so your trustee minutes and resolutions, it'll look at your relationship. So in this case here, we've got myself and John Cena, and it'll use that data to pre-populate the information, and it'll use that data as well for the email address. So bare minimum with digital signing. So if I go into my contact and click on edit, I will need an email address. And if I want to use the multi-factor authentication, I'll need to put in a mobile number as well. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a second. So it is pretty straightforward to put in those details. You can do it on an ad hoc basis. So when you're actually getting details or financials ready to be signed, you can then enter in the details. The report screen actually gives you a summary as well. So I'll show you the report screen now. So we know our fund relationship screen is up to scratch. Now, just before I move on, I did mention that you must do a search first and then drag and drop the relationship. Now, the reason why I'm asking you to do a search first is to avoid having duplicate records in your contacts database. So we want to avoid you having Douglas Adams set up. You can see there 3 times. Now, if it doesn't return a result, you obviously haven't set that person up in your database. And then you can just simply hit the create new contact and add that particular person to your contacts list and drag it across. All right, we're going to move on from the fund relationship screen now, and I'm going to head to my report screen. And what I want to do is I just simply want to sign an investment strategy report today. So you can see here that I've got my investment strategy report selected in my report pack list area. So I've already gone through, I've searched for it, and I've dragged it across to my report pack list. I can obviously preview the report before I sign it. So I can click on the PDF button or the Word button if I want to quickly preview that document before I get it ready for signing. So you can see there that I've got my projected investment strategy, and I'm just quickly having a look at it. You can see there that I need to sign it and John Cena also needs to sign. So I'm going to exit out of that. How do I actually get it ready for signing now? It's a pretty straightforward process. You just click on the digital signing button and it'll bring you to a wizard that you need to work through to get that ready for signing. Now, because FewSign was set as my default provider, you can see on the list there that FewSign has been selected. Now you can enable the SMS authentication, and you'll see there then it then shows the mobile number. So it's picking up these details from the fund relationship screen. Now, what happens when you click on the enabled SMSF authentication, it just increases the level of security when you're signing a document. It's going to enable the signer, or it's going to send a one-time password to the signer before he signs. That's all that that little toggle will do. So it just increases that level of security of the person who's signing that particular report pack. Now, before we move on to signing, as I mentioned, you can upload a third-party document at this stage, and there is help in our 360 help, so we can forward that in the chat. We'll make that available, so we'll get one of my colleagues to include a link to that particular feature. But as I mentioned, there are going to be changes made to signing a third-party document. And then just below that, it's just a summary of the reports that you'd like to digitally sign. So at this stage, we only have the investment strategy that we want to sign. So we've reviewed all that detail, and to move on to the next step, we're just going to hit the confirm button. And what's going to happen, it's going to bring up the email that we're going to send to the client to initiate the digital signing. Now, this is a template that can be edited as well. So you can see there that you can click on the edit template and change that template to suit your firm requirements for sending out emails. Okay, we do have a default available, but once again, everything's fairly white labeled here. So you will be able to make changes to the body of that particular email that's been sent. Now, I also want to talk about the enable priority group. So I'm going to flag this on just so you can see what that's about. And you'll see there that it shows my 2 signatures. So we've got one for Anthony and one for John. And what we're doing here is we're setting a priority. So who should sign this document first? So if I wanted to sign, if Anthony had to sign his document first, I would leave that as group 1, and then I will enable John as group 2. So Anthony would have to sign first, and then it will allow John to sign. So it's setting that order for digital signing. So you do have the ability there to set a signing order. Now, once you've set your signing order and you've had a look at the body, to actually forward that to your clients, you just have to hit that send email. Now, I'm just going to drag that across quickly and wait for that to send. But what I want to show you is in the reports work papers, in the document screen, is if you've sent that across and here it is here. So it's actually created that document for us. So you can see there at 317, it's getting it ready for signing. But if you've actually made a mistake and you want to void that document that you've sent, you can see here using the three dots, I can click on them and void that document. So it will not send an email, well, it has sent the email, but it will not allow the user to digitally sign the document. So you can void that. I also want to point out in the document screen, you've got these tags here to quickly identify the signing progress that's been made. So you can see here that this is currently in the signing phase. We've got report packs that have been signed, and then unfortunately, we've got a report pack that has been declined. Now, the brilliance of FuseSign is that they have a dashboard that your firm will have access to that gives you a lot of information about what's been sent for signing. And it uses that traffic light system of green being good, amber requiring attention, and red, something's gone wrong. So just by this, or looking at this dashboard, I can see there that there was a rejection, and I'm used to being rejected. So you can see that that's in red. And if I click into it, it'll also give me the reason. So a user can actually type in the reason for that rejection, and you can actually review it directly from your FuseSign dashboard, which is great. Anything in yellow, it shows that that user's actually seen the document. Amber, meaning that there's action required for that particular user. And then you can track the progress if there's multiple signatures. In this particular example, that John David Brown has signed it and we're still waiting for the others to sign. Might be waiting a bit of time for Steve Jobs to actually sign that one. All right, we're going to move over now to having a look at what it will look like for a client to sign that document. So once a document has been sent, you can see there that I'm working on a live data set at the moment. So it has sent off that email to the client to digitally sign that document. So I'm going to bring up my email now. Just got to hide a few cat videos. Okay, so we've got the email that's been received, and you can see here that there's documents requiring signature. So I'm going to open that up. So you can see here that we've got an email addressed to Anthony and obviously an email addressed to John Cena, and they both need to sign that respectively. Now, what I want to mention is with the email address, it does have to be unique to the user. What I've done is just put a plus sign, and because I'm using Google, I was able to use an alias. So I've been able to create anything that's powered by Google. Hopefully you guys know that you can obviously create an alias email address and it'll just hit the same inbox. That's just a little IT tip there. But you will need a separate email. Users can share a mobile number if you did switch on that multi-factor requirement. So I'm now going to sign for Anthony Costa, and I'm going to click here. And you'll notice here that I have asked for the document to be verified by multi-factor authentication first. So I'm going to hit the send code, and I'm just going to go to my mobile, and it's come through. So I'm just going to plug in that 6-digit code to move on to the next step. So it's verified that one-time code is correct, and it's now brought me on to the next step to review the documents. I'm going to click on review. Now it's going to go directly into the document, and now I can get started. So here's my projected investment strategy. As I mentioned before, if I wanted to reject this document as a user, you can see that it's fairly straightforward. I can click on reject and the user can put in a reason, and you can actually see that reason in the dashboard as I highlighted beforehand. Let me go back. Let's actually start signing just so you can see the process, and I'm going to click sign here. So I'm going to plug in my name as a signature and sign the document. Okay, so once you're done, you can see there that that particular document has been signed and it's moved on, that it's complete. So let's actually go through the same process now for John. So I'm going to click here for John. And once again, we're going to have to click on send code. And I've got to plug in the 6-digit code once again. And click OK. It's the same process. I'm going to click OK. It's going to log me into ViewSign. And it's the same thing that you saw before. John has to click on Get Started. And John can now sign the document by clicking Sign here. So we can put in John's name. And we can sign for John. And you can see there now that we've actually completed the process from start to finish for signing. Now, something that is definitely worth mentioning is that once you've completed the signing, so once all parties have signed, you will receive an email with the certificate for signing. So here's one that I've just prepared earlier. And what I want to show you is that you do have that audit trail of the users signing the document. So you can see there that you have the document signers, and you've also got that audit log that comes through from start to finish, from when they've reviewed it to when they've signed it. So it is the complete process. So that is how to digitally sign a document in Simple Fund 360. And it sort of wraps up the presentation. Once again, I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to catching you at tomorrow's training session. Goodbye for now.